Baby, you can drive my car, and baby, I love you. Beep, 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 yeah. Beep, 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 yeah. Beep, 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 yeah.
Hillary from the BurrEAU fragrance reviews tagged me in a very fun Sent My Ride video without asking me for permission. But that's probably a good thing, because I most definitely would have said no if she asked beforehand. But so yeah, now I have to do it. It's compulsory, and I don't want to get into trouble. So I guess I have to send my ride. Now, I wasn't very keen on doing this video because I don't typically enjoy doing what others are doing, but mostly because my car is a very dirty, bashed up old relic. But maybe, hopefully, that makes the video a little more interesting. Who knows? So, here's the car.
Before she said that he just wants her cooperate, but out of space to find another race. Satan is an evil man, but him can't trust it.
Promise me you'll wait for me. He's in the house, in the house, in the house, house. In the sky, tell me why do we build castles in the sky?
So, I've arrived at my destination. Time to go. Oh, one more thing I wanted to film was this. The medallion that was supposed to protect my grandfather. And, oh, there's some hand sanitizer, some chewing gum, all the stuff we need. We don't need all this dirt though. I'm ashamed, very ashamed. So, this is my little Yaris. My beloved little Yaris. A little bumped up. Thought it would be clean after the rain, but nope. Just a little bumped up, just a little dirty. Some pigeon poop. So as you can see, my ride is dented, dirty, small, smelly, and very old. And that it has no CD player, no MP3 player, just a very old radio. It has those old roll-down windows, and it has no central locking, which can really suck, because the lack of central locking enables you to lock your door whilst the keys are still on the ignition, and that has happened a few times. So I clearly don't care about cars much. As long as they get me where I need to go, that's good enough for me. Now, I only got my license when I was about 29, after I inherited my grandfather's little old Toyota Yaris. And it had actually been gathering dust for over a year before I decided, hey, let's use this thing. And yeah, probably because I never really needed a car. I live in a bigger city, and there's a lot of public transport. Parking is tough, and it's expensive to have a car. So I just drove around during my entire 20s with on a pink gold Vespa wannabe kind of scooter. But when I busted up my ankle after an accident, I finally decided to get myself a safer ride. And so I got my license and started driving to work like a grown-up person, and I could even drive around when it was snowing, which was a definite upgrade. Now, I've always been quite easily distracted, and I drive assertively, or so I like telling myself, but my friends would maybe rather say I drive a little aggressively. But that's why my first scent had to be... Where is it? Oh, here. Danger by Roger Dove. I'm not sure why I'm showing you this, it just says danger. But yeah, that's just a clear reference of what you can expect driving around with me, because yeah, it's dangerous. But also mainly because my car smelled like pigeons for years after my grandfather's passing, because he was a pigeon farmer, which means that he raised pigeons, and he'd take his pigeons to further locations to set them free there so they could come back and train and come back as quickly as possible so he could win trophies. And yeah, even up to this day, I swear I can still smell the pigeons on the car seats. And if you hold your nose up to the upholstery, you can definitely get it. So yeah, pigeon, dove, potato. And now we all also know that Roja dove is definitely overpriced. It's quality. They use quality ingredients, but it's expensive. And I think that's also applicable to Toyotas. Now, they're good quality, but kind of expensive.
It was a trap. You ever seen a Corolla broken down?
I only have a sample of danger, but from what I get from it when I wear this, or when I wore this because it's empty, now it definitely lacks oomph, just like my car lacks oomph. It's a very subtle, smooth blend, in fact, probably just too subtle. Maybe I'm a little bit anosmic to it, because I just really don't get much from it. It smells really watered down and faint to me. I have to draw a side note here though, because maybe it's just because I got a sample, decant sample, and only the top notes went through. I'm not sure. So if you guys get anything different from it, or if you think it's not as faint as I'm picturing it, then let me know. I do get a bit of the ylang. Try saying that 10 times. Ylang. I dare you. Anyway, I get some of the ylang and the sandalwood, but it's not very impressive to me. But so the car itself always kind of smelled like pigeons. Some greenery, vegetables maybe, and farm dirt. Maybe that dirt was from the manure scent, or the dung, after my grandfather cleaned out his manure pits, or whatever that's called in English. But yeah, if he got into the car after cleaning out those pits, it would forever smell like manure. And that's why I think Ud Infini by Dusita is another appropriate one that just takes me right back to the way my grandfather smelled after working on the land all day. He'd smell like manure, farm manure, but in a good way, if that's even possible. But in this earthy, this is nature kind of way. And you also get a bit of the rose bouquet in this fragrance, and some old wood kind of notes, which again fits perfectly with the image of what my grandfather smelled like after a day of shoveling manure, attending to my grandmother's roses, and fixing some old chair in his old dusty moldy shed. Now, I don't want to portray my grandfather as some dirty old man, but yeah, he kind of was, in the sense that he would only take one bath a week, and he'd even share that bath water with my grandma. She'd get to go first, lucky girl. But yeah, and he was also completely anosmic, so he didn't really know what he was smelling like, probably. The next fragrance I'm going to mention would have to be something related to an experience I had in the car, or just in a car in general, because I haven't had this car for that long, or yeah, most of my memory. Anyway, so I want to keep this PG-13, so I'm going to refrain from picking a fragrance like Lost Cherry or Grand Soir, but I'm just going to go for another naughty car-related memory, which was just me driving around with my ex to find a quiet spot so he could go smoke weed in that car. And so, of course, yeah, I never did any of that, by the way, but of course the car would smell forever like weed after that, and so like a music festival, which is why I obviously had to go for Margiela, Maison Margiela's Replica Line music festival. Now this one just smells like a lovely sweet, semi-sweet patchouli, tobacco, leathery, maybe a semi-sweet tobacco cannabis type of fragrance. I get some apple, some incense. Either way, the cannabis isn't very prominent in this one. It reminds me more of the garden-grown type cannabis smoked by hippies in the olden days. Maybe mixed with the incense and patchouli fragrance lingering in their caravan. And I kind of like it. It's surprisingly, it's quite wearable. It definitely leans masculine to me. And I'd love this on a guy, but the hippie chick inside of me can definitely appreciate this too. Finally, I'd also like to include Awake by Acro. The reason for that is because I tend to fall asleep in cars, and this fragrance just straight up smells like coffee to me. Story time. As a baby, I couldn't sleep at night, and people would think I was the best behaved babe because I slept all day, but my parents knew better. And either they would put me cradle and all in the shower so they could get some sleep, because we lived in this university studio with no separate room. But more often they just put me in the car and drove me around until I fell asleep. So cars have that effect on me still, actually. More so when I'm just a passenger, luckily less so when I'm driving. But if I'm really tired, I definitely need my coffee when I drive, because I have almost fallen asleep once or twice behind the wheel. And so for the safety of, well, everyone, it's probably better that I have my coffee. Now, Acro is a little bit too dominant on the coffee for me. It's just very sharp and heavy, a little cloying. Maybe the cardamom is just too harsh, or the lemon gives it too sharp or sour of a feel. I don't know. I just don't really tend to like coffee dominant fragrances too much, except maybe I haven't smelt too many, I have to admit that, but maybe in Black Phantom, I really like that one. And I'd totally wear that, because the coffee in there isn't too dominant. It's very smoothly blended with the rum and the chocolate and the caramel and the almond. Yeah, I love that one. And it lasts forever on me. So I'm mentioning Acro because the name is just very relevant, but maybe I should just go for Black Phantom. So yeah. So that was my car story. And I guess I now need to tag 3 other people. So I nominate my little brother Joey Cannoli, and I nominate Juju, his beautiful Juju, and Ashton from Jen Sense, and just basically anyone who wants to do this, just do it. Don't wait for a tag. And also remember not to ever tag me in anything without checking first. Bye. Finally, ow, my ass. I mean, it hurts because I broke my tailbone. Anyway.